What if a chatbot somewhere is confidently quoting your leadership team from 2018 like it's still the current position? That's not just a missed opportunity, that's brand risk, it's reputational risk, and it's not just about the facts.
Hello and welcome to the Rose and Rockstar from the Rockstar CMO effing marketing podcast and the Marketing Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ian Truscott. I'm not a rock star, but I am a CMO and managing partner at Velocity B. It's Saturday the 19th of July and sadly Robert couldn't make it to our virtual bar last night for our regular recording as he had some last minute travel changes and so was on a plane instead of in the bar. However, I do have permission to satisfy our Robert Rose fix and share something he recorded for the Content Marketing Institute this week titled Old Content, New Risk, What's AI Learning About Your Brand? So fill up your glass and enjoy. But first, we still need to pay the bar tab. I'll be back in a moment.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
When it comes to relevant content, you may have heard Jeff and me talk about the multis on this show. Multi-channel, multi-device, multi-persona, and multi-language. On that last one, let me ask, how confident are you that your content actually connects in every market? You're not sure? Well, it might be time to check out Phrase. In our experience, this stuff used to be hard, but Phrase makes it simple with its industry-leading AI localization platform that helps you deliver content in multiple languages without losing your tone, your message, or your mind. It automates the manual work, slashes review time, and gives you real data on what's working and where. Brands like Uber and Zendesk trust Phrase to scale their content across the globe and get it right every time. If you're serious about reaching more people and driving better results internationally, head over to phrase.com/MPN and take a look. That's phrase.com/MPN.
Are you tired of juggling multiple software tools to manage your agency? Say hello to Deltek Workbook, the ultimate solution for marketing and communication agencies. With Workbook, you can streamline your projects, resources, and finances all in one place. Imagine real-time dashboards and reports giving you full visibility into your projects, people, and financials. Plan your team's capacity weeks in advance to avoid bottlenecks while staying on budget to maximize project margins. Plus, Workbook works perfectly for both agencies and in-house marketing teams looking to boost efficiency and profitability. And here's the best part. At PCI, we're a certified Deltek partner and reseller offering expert implementation, integrations, and ongoing support to ensure your success. Want to see how Deltek Workbook can transform your operations? For a free consultation, visit pci.us/podcast today. That's pci.us/podcast.
Let me take you back in time just a bit. So in the old days, at least the ones I remember anyway, there was this familiar rallying cry you'd hear at PTA meetings or in earnest local news media reports. It was anytime something new came along that made adults nervous. It might be video games or edgy music or teenagers showing up to school with too much eyeliner and purple hair. Yeah, that was me. Anyway, someone would eventually clutch their proverbial pearls and say it. What are we teaching our children? It's pretty common today. Won't somebody think of the children? It was the phrase that showed up when people weren't quite sure what to do with change. And it was part panic, part moral compass, part excuse to have a conversation that might have needed to happen anyway. Lately, I've been thinking about that phrase again, but this time it's not about the kids, it's about the machines, because now we've got a new kind of student that's soaking up our every word, our every intention. Won't somebody think of the AI? What are we teaching the AI? You see, before AI search really took off, just in the last year or so, for example, I used to look back at my old blog posts or old white papers, ebooks, etc., and I'd cringe a little, right? There were always a few moments where I'd go, okay, that didn't age very well, and I'd have a chuckle, and maybe I'd roll my eyes, and I'd move on. Sometimes I'd delete it. Other times I'd just leave it up out of sheer stubbornness or laziness, and honestly, it didn't seem like it mattered all that much. One of my favorite IT guys once said to me, security through obscurity. And that pretty much summed up how I thought about my old content. If nobody's looking, nobody's finding, so what's the harm? But in 2025, that's not how it works anymore. Because now your old content just doesn't sit quietly in the back of the internet somewhere or get retrieved in its full. It's now active. It's searchable. It's being scraped, summarized, analyzed, and most critically, it's being used to teach generative AI about you, your team, and what your point of view on the world is all about. That white paper you wrote in 2017, it's probably part of someone's training data. That blog post from 2019 with those stats you'd rather not revisit, a chatbot may have already quoted it. And that slightly awkward half-based take you took buried on page 4 of your old resource center, well, it could be showing up in an AI-generated summary today. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because a lot of teams are actually excited about this idea, right? The idea of showing up in AI search is all the rage right now. We want to show up in AI search. It's appealing. Visibility, it's reach. And here's the thing, visibility is only helpful if it's showing people and machines the version of you that you want them to see. Because what if the version that shows up isn't accurate anymore? What if the summary that gets served to a potential client or a partner or a journalist connects your brand to some outdated worldview or obsolete product or even something mildly cringeworthy? What if a chatbot somewhere is confidently quoting your leadership team from 2018 like it's still the current position? That's not just a missed opportunity, that's brand risk, it's reputational risk. And it's not just about the facts being wrong, it's about signals being off. Remember, it's teaching, context, tone, timing. All the things we think about when we create content can get distorted when our older work resurfaces without us even realizing it. This is why content audits, which once felt like tedious hygiene tasks and honestly aren't the funnest thing ever, well, they're now something very different. We used to do them to tidy up for SEO, right? To make things right, to look for rot, right? Redundant or outdated or just basically not good content. But now, well, now there's something deeper. They're about narrative defense because the archive you've been slowly building for the last 10 years isn't just a record of what you've said. It's now the raw materials for how your story is being told by systems you don't control. That brings us back to another idea. This one from Dan Sullivan in a wonderful book called The 4 C's Formula, Your Building Blocks of Growth. He says that when we gain a new capability or gain a new worldview, it doesn't just give us confidence in the future, it also changes how we understand the past. In other words, when you level up, whether it's your strategy, your messaging, your point of view, you don't just see the next step more clearly. You get to start to reinterpret the steps that made you get there. In other words, you can rewrite your origin story by simply evolving your worldview. That's what makes content auditing in 2025 so powerful. You're not just looking for broken links and outdated phrasing. You're looking for moments where your past no longer fits your present or your future. You see, here's the big learning. Unlike traditional search engines, large language models don't remember your content so that they might regurgitate it back to a searcher later. This is an incredibly important thing to remember in the wake of the recent legal judgments that have found that LLMs are allowed to learn from content. Generative AI is trained to consume content so that it can and only probabilistically interpret and generate responses based on what it is they've consumed. See, it's good that AI search is not going to present your ideas, your content as its own. We like that, but it also comes with the other side of that proverbial sword, which is it won't present your ideas as its own. It will always interpret them and cite you for that. Said more simply, if your past work becomes the meaningful part of a training set, it might now be paraphrased, cited, or even warped into AI-generated responses across the web. You may not even recognize your own voice until it's been auto-completed by a chatbot. You better hope that the way you wrote it is interpreted in the way you meant it. You can't stop AI systems from learning from the content you choose to make available, but what you can do is try to influence what it is that you continue to teach them. That's what rebooting is in your content audit. It's not just about updating a page or swapping out a graphic. It's reframing. It's adding clarity, context. It's saying, hey, this was our thinking then, and here's how it's evolved. It's about showing the through line so that when you show up in an AI search or in a chatbot or in someone's AI-assisted brief, it actually reflects what you stand for today. So yeah, audits, they're not fun, but they still involve making decisions. And keep this, update that, retire the rest. But they're not just content maintenance anymore. They're memory management. They're your chance to decide what gets remembered, how it gets framed, and why it still matters. Because the archive isn't just sitting there, it's speaking. And if you're not shaping what it says, then the machine's going to make something up on your behalf. That brings us all the way back to those PTA meetings, because in 2025, no one's panicking about eyeliner. Well, they are panicking about eyeliner anyway. Okay. Basically, when it comes to content anyway, we might want to start asking that familiar question again. What are we teaching the algorithm? You want a little more? Well, I wrote my full post here, and you can get some of the additional thoughts that I have there, and hopefully you'll get my meaning. In the meantime, remember, whether we realize it or not, we're raising something. It's not our children this time, it's our brand's next generation. It's digital voice, it's inferred intent, it's reconstructed reputation. Let's make sure it grows up well. It's your story. Make sure your old ones are told well too, and I'll see you next week.
Hope you like that. A last-minute switch there, so I had to improvise a bit. And as Robert mentioned, the full post is obviously not here, but on the Content Marketing Institute blog under Robert's regular column, Rose-Coloured Glasses. I will, of course, include a link to it in the show notes. So that's a wrap on this episode of the Rose and Rockstar. Thank you for joining us. And as well as the link to Robert's column, you can find links to me and Robert in the show notes at rockstarcmo.com, where you can also find links to our newsletter, blog, previous episodes, and all the things. Coming up this week on Rockstar CMO FM on Wednesday, former Forrester analyst Simon Daniels will be sitting in for Jeff in the marketing studio, and Robert will be back in the bar on Saturday. In the meantime, just remember, as Dewey Finn said in the film The School of Rock, you can't just say it, man. You gotta feel it in your blood and guts if you want to rock.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Hennika Watkins-Porter hosts The Entrepreneurial You, empowering entrepreneurs with insights on leadership, business, and success. Hennika, tell listeners what to expect from your show.
So we provide innovative business strategies and practical solutions to common entrepreneurial challenges.
And where can people subscribe?
Find us at hennikawatkinsporter.com, as well as the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcast.net, or search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard her. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.